Hey guys, welcome back. This is another office hours little debrief. This past week in office hours, we talked about moving from terror into friendship. And it was such a great conversation that I thought I would share the opening notes here. I also wanted to take a moment to invite you to office hours. It's easy to join us and it's free. It's every Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. It's a great way to join the community for free, be part of this conversation, and just do a little in-depth exploration for yourself. It's especially great right now since I still have a wait list for one-to-one clients. And right now, that wait list doesn't seem to be budging. So, right now, while I'm not taking any new clients, office hours is a wonderful way to do some exploration. So, without further ado, here are the office hours notes from this past Thursday. From terror to friendship. A few of you already know about an unexpected epiphany that occurred yesterday in the wee hours of the morning while the moon still hung in the sky over my house. Something so subtle and yet so completely transformative happened. I awoke at 5 a.m. just like every other morning and walked quietly into the bathroom without turning on any lights. This is the way every day begins. Me silently getting out of bed to prepare for my morning walk while Pete remains asleep in the bed. No lights are turned on, and I get dressed by the glow of the moon beaming in through the windows right above our bathtub. But as I walked past the bathroom mirror, the shadows played tricks on me for a brief second, and my mind reported with confidence that something was wrong with my face. Perhaps it was swollen. In a millisecond, my mind dutifully recalled those morning face swellings of 2018 and 2019. And for the first time in 6 years, that whoosh, that lightning bolt of what I used to call gun to the head terror, it came back. It raced through my body. One massive bolt of tight electric energy from my root chakra all the way up through my throat. Gun to the head terror. That was the name my mind had given that sensation all those years ago. And the label felt real and solid and immovable. Gun to the head terror. During those years, the only way I could explain to anyone the level of fear I felt about my physical symptoms was that single phrase, gun to the head terror. It seemed to capture the depth and the breadth of my fear. I had always believed that the goal was to stop having that sensation, stop having that terror. That was my number one goal. Everything I did, in fact, was to keep that experience as far away as possible. And then, miraculously, late in 2019, I began asking that now famous Missy question. What if, beyond my mind's ability to understand, this experience is the one most in service of my waking up, the one most in service of me? And I noticed less resistance to the experience when I asked that question. I still didn't want the experience, of course, but there was part of me that had a felt sense knowing, that still quiet voice, that the experience had to be helpful in a way that my mind simply was not equipped to understand. Eventually, that whoosh of terror faded far into the background until it was no longer noticed. Until yesterday, when it reappeared with the volume and intensity of 2018. Tight, electric, pulsating, like a boa constrictor and lightning bolt, all in one movement in my body. All the old labels and judgments were right on its heels. Terror, awful, shouldn't be happening. And then, for some reason I will never know, yesterday, I found myself standing still on the cold, tiled bathroom floor, inviting that boa constrictor lightning bolt to stay. I felt an unexpected warmth and compassion for her, for the sensation my mind had labeled terror, gun to the head terror for years. And it occurred to me, what if that label had been a misunderstanding all this time? What if that sensation, that whoosh of energy in my body, that boa constrictor lightning bolt, had always been my friend? What if she had been there as part of my waking up, part of my seeing beyond the stories and labels and judgments of who I am? In a flash, a series of images raced through my mind. All those times I believed wholeheartedly that I couldn't do things, that I couldn't go places for fear that my physical symptoms would arise and I would therefore be struck with terror. What if it was all an innocent misunderstanding? All those attempts to fix and control my physical symptoms for one single reason. I didn't want to feel terror. It wasn't so much the hives. It wasn't so much the facial swelling, the lips swelling, the eyelid swelling. It was that I wholeheartedly believed those things caused me to feel terror. There were little hints back in those days, little breadcrumbs pointing me to the fact that it could not be my symptoms causing my terror. After all, there were other physical things that did not elicit that same boa constrictor lightning bolt fear. Stomach aches didn't bring on that sensation. Neither did headaches or hip pains. Neither did the intense and sudden pain of dropping a phone on my toe with such force that my toenail turned black and fell off. No fear. No boa constrictor. No lightning bolt. How was that? But still, the label written in stone stuck when it came to facial swelling and hives. Gun to the head terror. No questioning of that label. It was absolute rock solid truth. Those symptoms were terrifying. At least, that's what my clever mind reported. And that entire report fell apart yesterday. I saw so clearly and cleanly that the entire story was a farce. It was a lie. It was a misunderstanding. There were symptoms, yes. There was swelling, there were hives, there were scary reports from doctors who insisted that I carry 2 EpiPens everywhere I go. But outside of the story that my mind habitually told, there was actually nothing terrifying about my symptoms. They simply were. They were simply symptoms, period, full stop. And alongside those symptoms, there was this very good friend that I just wasn't ready to see as my friend. She showed up as big energy, racing energy, intense energy, pulsating energy, tight energy, tense energy, hot and fierce energy. But she was not terror. She was never gun to the head terror. Those were added stories of a protective mind. She was, in fact, my friend. I wish I had a better way of explaining this. I wish there were clearer words to describe the incredible love and compassion I felt for that boa constrictor lightning bolt fear that ran through my body yesterday morning when my eyes played tricks on me. After I put on my running clothes and tennis shoes, I held this newfound friend close as I began my morning walk in the dark. She kept fading away, but the essence of what I had felt remained. It was as if history had suddenly rewritten itself. All those times I believed wholeheartedly that I was in gun to the head terror, I was in the presence of life itself, of an energy that was only ever there as a friend. All those times I worked so hard to manage and control my physical symptoms just so that I wouldn't have fear. It was so innocent. It was all perfect. It was trustworthy. Even the years of my resisting, fighting, researching, controlling, and managing just to get rid of symptoms. It was perfect. So last night I returned to one of my journals from 2019, from the time that I began asking that now famous Missy question. What if, beyond the ability of my mind to understand, this experience is the one most in service of my waking up, most in service of me. I read some of the pages in that 2019 journal, and these were the words that stood out most. Trust. This is not what I think it is. My mind is not seeing the whole story right now. Trust this. I am okay. This is not what I think it is. I think everyone here probably has an internal experience that you'd rather not have. Fear, terror, grief, sensations in the body that mimic a boa constrictor or a lightning bolt. But what if, really, really, what if, beyond your mind's compelling labels, judgments, and learned beliefs, there is a tiny little opening to consider something brand new? What if that very experience that your mind hates the most, morning dread, fear, rage, terror, grief, isn't what you think it is? What if it's actually here as a friend, as part of your waking up? I want to end with a poem that I wrote that I actually read at the beginning of office hours, but I'm going to end with you today. There are sensations that arrive without language. They don't come bearing explanations, only intensity. They speak in electricity and heat, in tightening and rising and trembling and bracing. And the mind, faithful and fast, rushes to name them. Danger, terror. Something is wrong. Something must be named and solved. But what if, long before words, long before the label fear, sensations were simply life, moving through us, asking not to be solved, but to be met, maybe even to be befriended? I love this entire explanation so much. I hope you will join us sometime in office hours, and I will see you back here on YouTube probably in about a week. Bye, everyone. I love you.